don't you ever talk about your father?
I never wanted to be like my father.
He told me.
And I always saw my dad as a man, so I guess I never really wanted to be like a man either.
5'7", 160 pounds, so strong, and a baseball cap, cutoffs, and a skateboard under his arm. I would never think of him as anything other than a man, anything other than masculine.
He's an alcoholic, a brawler. When I was a kid, he couldn't really hold down a job. And whenever things were going well, it seemed like he found a way to fuck it up, but he always made it through.
He once told me, laughing, that when he was a kid, he had dreams of becoming a professional skateboarder.
At 9 or 10 years old, he would take me to the skate park so I could practice. I would ride the bowls all afternoon while he would sit on a bench and watch me and put away 1 or 2 six-packs. It took me years to figure out why people gave him weird looks. After they got divorced, he lost custody. And I didn't visit him for a long time, but eventually I started visiting him again, and sometimes when I visited, he wouldn't have a place to stay, so we'd couch surf with his friends or with my uncles, and he showed me a lot of things I probably shouldn't have seen at that age. He would roll joints on the hood of his car with his friends, or he'd get mad and say shit about my mom, call her a bitch or a slut.
He's always been such a gentleman. He's sweet and kind. And let me tell you, the girls in high school loved him. Well, especially because when we played intramural sports, he would be the only one passing to them.
My worst experience with my dad was on my 16th birthday. I was staying with him, and he came home with a 12-pack, and it was pretty normal for him to go through a 12-pack in a night. Anyway, later on, we were sitting in his truck in the driveway talking, and he started telling me about an argument he'd gotten into over a game of pool, something stupid at a bar. The guy said that he was going to kick my dad's ass, but my dad always kept a gun in his truck. A .48 pistol, no safety on it or anything. He said it was for self-defense, and he was telling me how he was thinking of shooting this guy if he attacked him. And I don't know, but I think he might have even pulled the gun to scare him. And this is the kind of shit that my dad would do that I was just not okay with. And I told him that time, I said, it's not okay to pull a gun on someone who's obviously unarmed. And then we got in this really heated argument, and he was telling me about self-defense and all the stupid gun rights bullshit. And he was just talking over me. And I tried to raise my voice, and he kept talking over me, so I punched him in the shoulder to get him to listen to me. And I told him to shut up and to listen to what I was saying, and he cocked his fist.
Our high school has a traditional hazing where seniors get freshmen to fight each other. It's simple. They grab a pair and circle around them and wait for them to fight each other. And if they don't, they fight them. And now that I think of it, he did his best to end that tradition, and I remember he even called the cops a couple of times.
That scared me. I freaked out. I had never had that happen before with my dad. Sure, I knew he was a heavy drinker, but I also knew that he loved me very, very much. And I grew up thinking he would never lay a hand on me. But when he cocked his fist, I jumped out of the car and started yelling and screaming at him, and he jumped out of the car and slammed his hand on the hood and started yelling at me, and he's this full-grown dude. I just punched some of the poles and stuff around me to get him to be quiet. And he was. Got back into his truck. He didn't say anything. And I just went back inside and started crying like what the fuck happened? And I felt like part of it was my fault. Like if he loved me more, he wouldn't say those things. Like if he loved me more, he would do better. That was the first time, that was the closest I ever got to getting in a fight with my dad, like a fist fight. And if that happened, I wouldn't stand a chance. He'd kick my ass. My dad beat the shit out of guys who were like 6'5", just because he grew up getting into fights and brawls with people. And it was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. I guess because of what he almost did to me. He was the man I saw. And I didn't want to be anything like that. I didn't like the drinking or the violence. So ever since high school, I distanced myself from it.
I often take for granted that I know where people are coming from, that I've heard their stories so many times that I think I can know enough to label them or talk about them knowingly. And then I realized that all I know are references to places, names, dates, a summer camp, a grandparent they loved. But the truth is, most of the time, I don't know them. I don't know where they're coming from. Thank you. It sounds like he's a really tough guy to be around.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. But his toughness isn't just a violent thing. It's what got him through all the shit. At least he taught me his belief that things can get better. I remember we'd be couch surfing, we wouldn't have a place to stay. And he would just say, "This too shall pass." And it did. He'll almost get killed in a fight or lose another apartment or job, but he just picks himself up and keeps going. He's tough like that. And I don't know if that's what makes him a man, but it's not how I identify.